Furious and dazed, Taker assumed it was Devon who'd hit him, since that mix-up meant Devon ended up eating a beatdown from both Taker and Kane on the...
That's kind of annoying, bro. I'm not gonna lie, bro. It was crazy the way he got hit. But, like, why the fuck can you just, like, say, apologize over a beer or something and then go get Bubba?
Oh, what's up? Oh, what's up?
What up, it's Ahmadjay back here at another video. Today we're about to be reacting to a video by Wrestle Mafia. The video is going to be on the most infamous wrestling receipts of all time. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he'll probably have some that I already know on here, because, you know, Roman Reigns won. Yeah, I think there's a lot, bro. The one between Stone Cold Steve Austin and Booker T, that's just some little examples. I probably know a handful of them, because, like, I know about a lot of them, because, like, wrestlers told their stories and they know what happened after that. But a wrestling receipt, everybody already know what the wrestling receipts are, bro. You do something in the ring that actually hurts another wrestler, they're gonna give you some payback. But let's just get into it and let's see his list and let's see what he got on here. And don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you've been enjoying the WWE / wrestling videos. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and let's get...
In the WWE, a receipt is when you accidentally strike your opponent for real, and your opponent pays you back with an even more stiff shot of his own. Some receipts can be a simple punch or slap, while others come in the form of nasty chair shots and brutal beatdowns. In this video, we're looking at the most infamous receipts in WWE history, kicking off with the time Brock Lesnar reminded Roman Reigns exactly who he was dealing with. At WrestleMania 31, Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns were tearing into each other in the main event, and Reigns decided to start throwing real knee strikes at Lesnar's head. Now, Lesnar is not the kind of guy who lets that slide. He's a former UFC heavyweight champion, and stiff shots from an opponent tend to wake something up in the beast. Reigns kept it coming.
Bro, I don't know why people keep doing this to Brock Lesnar, bro. Over the years, you would think, you would think a lot of guys would just be like, oh, he's not tough, or blah, blah, blah. I can handle him. Or, well, you know, people get caught up in the moment and accidentally do this so much. If I was wrestling Brock Lesnar, I would catch myself, nigga. I was like, I gotta be careful. Because this nigga will fucking... Bro, this nigga will Braun Strowman you. We all seen that infamous punch to the side of the head. That nigga rattled that nigga brain. But yeah, I know this infamous slap.
Trying to make the match feel like a brutal fight, but Lesnar had clearly had enough. In front of a sold-out Levi's Stadium and millions watching at home, Brock reared back and slapped Reigns so hard you could hear it echo through the arena.
Damn.
And the beast didn't stop there. Moments later, Lesnar caught Reigns with a stiff clothesline that sent him flipping over the top rope and crashing to the floor outside.
Shit.
The commentary team barely knew what to say, and it became one of the most talked about sequences of the match. However, this wouldn't be...
Hey, bro, if that's not a wake-up call, I don't know what it is. That probably woke Roman Reigns' ass up and probably like, I gotta stop. I gotta chill out. This nigga will knock my head off.
The last time Brock made an opponent regret getting stiff with him, as we'll see later down the list. But speaking of Lesnar and receipts, his issue with Jeff Hardy in 2002 took things to a whole different level. During Brock's dominant early run, he was booked as an unstoppable monster, and one of the moves the company used to sell that terror was his release powerbomb. Jeff Hardy was on the receiving end of it repeatedly, night after night, as Lesnar racked up wins over the Hardy Boys.
Damn.
After enduring one too many of those bone-rattling powerbombs, Hardy decided he wasn't just going to take it lying down. On the April 8th, 2002 episode of Raw,
Man, Hardy, I wanna like, you know, like kind of just like understand your situation, but like you fucking around with Brock Lesnar. This is before Brock Lesnar's like UFC days, bro. This is like when he was still in that little young primal state. So she's pretty crazy for that.
Jeff caught Lesnar with one of the stiffest chair shots in wrestling history.
Nasty.
The sound alone made people wince. Jeff later admitted in an interview that after taking those powerbombs match after match, he felt like it was finally his turn to let a little frustration out. Lesnar, to his credit, ate it up and didn't retaliate on camera, but the shot was so legitimately hard that people still bring it up as one of the nastiest receipts of all time. But if we're speaking of wrestling receipts, we simply cannot leave out The Undertaker. Taker built a reputation over the decades as someone who does not forget when an opponent gets a little too loose with him, and Randy Orton found that out the hard way. During their feud in 2005, Orton went to hit Taker with a chair shot, but he caught him wrong. clipping him with the edge instead of the flat surface.
Damn.
The result was a nasty gash that busted Taker open for real. Undertaker, never one to make a scene in the moment, calmly told Orton backstage not to worry about it because his receipt was coming. Orton had to sit with that for months, never quite knowing when the moment would arrive. It finally...
Bro, that must be scary as hell, bro. Just like, I mean, what's even worse, like, just like not knowing that you did something wrong, but like knowing that you did something wrong and the person literally tells you, oh, it's coming, but you don't know when it's coming. That's a scary part, bro. Undertaker was like a very old school ass person. He'll let you know if you did something, especially being a veteran still around that time. Yeah, so you never know when that's coming. It must be the most scariest shit ever.
Finally happened at Armageddon when Taker got Orton alone inside Hell in a Cell and unloaded one of the most thunderous chair shots fans had seen in a while. It was patient, calculated, and exactly the kind of old-school payback Taker was known for throughout his career. Taker's reputation for collecting on debts also extended to feuds involving other superstars, and one of the wildest examples came during a tables match at No Way Out 2001. During their feud with the Brothers of Destruction, the Dudley Boys were supposed to level Taker and Kane from behind with chair shots, with Bubba Ray responsible for cracking Taker across the back. Instead, Bubba swung so hard that the lid of the chair popped loose and cracked Taker directly in the head.
Yeah, I can get why Undertaker was angry at that, nigga. Jesus Christ, bro. Just imagine something popping you in the back of the head as like something steel, like a damn chair, bro. Like that. Steel chairs are not gimmick. It's the way you hit them, as I learned in these videos. It's the way you hit them, bro. If you hit them the wrong way, just like now, bro, your skull is going to be rattled. And that can cause like a really bad concussion, especially to a blow to the back of the head. Blow to the front of the head is already crazy enough, but like, oof.
Furious and dazed, Taker assumed it was Devon who'd hit him, since Bubba had actually been aiming for Kane at the time. That mix-up meant Devon ended up eating a beatdown from both Taker and Kane on the outside, while Bubba escaped unscathed. Devon later explained on Taker's podcast that he tried pleading his case in the moment, insisting it wasn't him, but nobody was in the mood to sort out details mid-match. It wasn't until later that Taker figured out the truth, that Bubba had been the one who hit him.
Wow.
But not every receipt in WWE...
That's kind of annoying, bro. I'm not gonna lie, bro. It was crazy the way he got hit. But like, why the fuck can you just like say apologize over a beer or something and then go get Bubba? Cause holy shit, he took the beat down for nothing.
WWE history involved chairs and busted open foreheads. During the 2003 Royal Rumble, Tommy Dreamer entered the match armed with his usual arsenal of hardcore weapons, and he wasted no time putting them to use on Chris Jericho. Dreamer caught Y2J with 2 hard kendo stick shots, and while the first one barely phased him, the second clearly got Jericho's attention. Rather than shake it off, Jericho decided to even the score immediately. He grabbed a trash can lid and cracked Dreamer with it before finishing the exchange with a kendo stick shot of his own and eliminated Dreamer with an assist from Christian moments later. Jericho's willingness to dish out receipts showed up again years later, though this time the motivation was completely different. On the July 15th, 2010 episode of Superstars, Jericho was in a match with Yoshitatsu, a competitor who'd mostly been booked as a bland babyface during his WWE run.
Oh God, I remembered it. This nigga's songs is like so iconic. Bro, it's so iconic because like he just reminds me of the generic like babyface that loses a lot in the early 2010s, bro. Respect to him and his career, bro. Because I heard AJ Styles ended his career because of the Styles Clash. Pretty sure it's all forgiven though.
Jericho wanted the match to feel like a legit Japanese-style fight and asked Tatsu beforehand to bring some real intensity. Early on, though, Yoshi was still working timid, and it clearly irritated Jericho. So Jericho decided to light a fire under him the hard way. He slammed Tatsu down, pulled off his knee pad, and dropped a knee directly into his face, busting him open in the process. It was a harsh way to make a point, but it worked. Once Tatsu got patched up and the match resumed, he came out swinging for real, trading stiff shots with Jericho and turning what had been a forgettable house show-style match into something the crowd actually got behind. Jericho later admitted it probably wasn't the most professional way to motivate a young talent, but he wanted a reaction, and he got exactly.
Hey, he got what he was looking for, because holy shit, I would have been pissed off too. See, yeah, it seemed like this one was just like Chris Jericho's ego coming out a little bit, and him actually wanting to, motivate a talent or put on a good show. I guess that's probably like the wrestling not ego, I would say. Probably like the wrestling and the true heart of a wrestler wanting a good match to be good. Y2J was one of those. So I can get why he probably did that, but like, kind of on the fly, just like, knee striking somebody like that. Oh, yeah, he had it coming with this one.
Exactly that. However, not all receipts in WWE come from men looking to settle a score. The women's division has produced its fair share of real tension too. During a 2021 episode of Raw, Charlotte Flair faced the dominant Jax, and a miscommunication in the ring set off a chain reaction. Charlotte started legitimately laying into Jax, most of it happening conveniently during a commercial break so cameras weren't rolling, though even the commentary team seemed caught off guard by how intense it got. Jax, unwilling to just absorb it, eventually reached her limit and decided enough was enough, firing back at Charlotte with a receipt of her own that visibly rocked the multi-time champion. The two continued trading stiff shots for a moment before settling back into the plan.
I'm not gonna lie, I remember this was kind of a little bit awkward, bro. It's always awkward when like talent kind of just like get caught up in the ring. Shit just kind of went up on the fly, but hey, at least they forgave each other after this
Finish and completing the match. It was a rare glimpse into how quickly things can boil over between two competitors, even in a match that was never supposed to look like a shoot. But from an in-ring miscommunication to one of the most calculated receipts ever delivered, let's talk about Kurt Angle and Undertaker's exchange during the six-man Hell in a Cell match at Armageddon 2000. Early on, Angle cracked Taker across the head with a legitimately hard chair shot, throwing his entire body into the swing. Taker got his hands up in time to lessen some of the impact, but it was still a shot that set the tone for what was coming later. As the match spilled onto the roof of the cell, Taker called for the timekeeper to toss up a steel chair. It took a few attempts to actually get it up there, but once Taker had it in hand, he made sure Angle knew exactly what was coming. He nailed the Olympic gold medalist with a completely unprotected shot to the head, delivering what's remembered as one of Taker's most iconic receipts. Angle later admitted he was initially furious that WWE eventually phased out unprotected chair shots like that one, calling them a staple of the business, though with hindsight and everything now known about head injuries, even he's come around to understanding why the company moved away from them. But while Kurt got his receipt on top of the cell, another...
I mean, I get he was like kind of like, if that was he sort of like was trained on like that being like some sort of like the staple of the business, but like I wouldn't dare just like say like that should have been like allowed even back then, bro. This shit looked brutal, bro. Like we could all just be like entertained by that shit back in the day, but like it was not like good for business in the long run.
Another incident involving him just a few years later had a very different ending. In 2004, Tough Enough contestant Daniel Puder found himself in an amateur wrestling exchange with Kurt Angle on SmackDown. Puder, drawing on his real MMA background, caught Angle in a Kimura lock that could have genuinely broken the former Olympian's arm had the referee not stepped in. It was a moment that embarrassed Angle on live television. Puder had gone into business for himself, and the locker room doesn't tend to let that slide quietly.
Oh, shit, yeah. I mean, this is spoke upon a lot, but like what they did to this dude in the ring... man, you could just blame this guy for it. I mean, it was only one little incident, bro. I don't know if he was probably having like other shit backstage with that was his fault, but like, damn, they treated him like shit for like, from now on until he just got out the business.
At the 2005 Royal Rumble, Puder found out just how steep the price of that moment was. Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, and Hardcore Holly all took turns stiffing him with real shots throughout the match, making sure he understood exactly where he stood in the pecking order. Puder later admitted he had no idea what was coming and felt like he was treated with total disrespect that night, humiliated in front of a worldwide audience before his eventual elimination. It wasn't one clean receipt from one man. It was a full roster message, delivered collectively, about what happens when you make a veteran look bad without earning the right to do so first. Over a decade after this
That's crazy. Kurt Angle didn't even go for it. They just took that's how it was going on back in the day, bro. People will take that into their own hands and just do it for you.
Another youngster tried getting stiff with a legend and paid the price. At the 2018 Royal Rumble, Brock Lesnar was matched up in a triple threat contest with Braun Strowman and Kane. Early in their encounter, Strowman caught Lesnar with a stiff knee right to the face, clearly putting some real force behind it. Lesnar wasn't going to let that go unanswered. He fired back almost immediately with a hard right hand, making sure...
Hey, this is like probably like the wings between like like acting tough and then being tough. I mean, not saying like Braun Strowman's not tough, but like when it comes to like fighting or something, I don't know if you go be up for it, especially with Brock Lesnar, bro. When he popped back up, that's how you know when the wrestling is just out the wrestling and acting is and playing stuff is out the door. This nigga pop back up. Pow, pow. Ooh.
Strowman understood the message loud and clear, essentially warning him to dial the intensity back down. It was a brief moment of two monsters testing each other's limits, but it fit right into Lesnar's long track record of never being the guy who backs down from a stiff shot, regardless of who's standing across from him. But the willingness to answer physicality with physicality wasn't limited to the Lesnars and Undertakers of the world. Even the McMahon family got involved in their fair share of receipts. Shane McMahon found himself on the wrong end of Chris Jericho's frustration at Survivor Series 2016.
Oh,
Shane's punches have never looked particularly clean, but during this match, one of them landed completely flush, catching Jericho right on the nose. Jericho, clearly not thrilled about it, stepped outside the ring to shake it off and kick at the steel steps in frustration. When he climbed back in, Shane was just as clumsy as before, which only made Jericho's response feel more justified. Jericho unloaded with a double kick that looked almost like something out of an action movie, making it clear he wasn't going to just eat sloppy shots for the rest of the match. But while Shane and Jericho stopped before things got out of control, ECW One Night Stand in
I mean, hey, at least they communicated and knew that was like they were going overboard. Hey, sometimes, like I said, sometimes it takes like a good wake up call from somebody to tell you you fucking up. You stop doing that shit.
2005 gave us one of the nastiest receipts in wrestling history. In 2005, word had reached JBL that the Blue Meanie had once called him a bully, and that comment stuck with him. When the show's chaotic brawl broke out, JBL saw his opening and legitimately unloaded on Meanie, leaving him bloodied by the time it was over. It looked like the story might end there, but months later, when JBL faced Meanie again, Meanie picked up the win with an assist from Batista. Before the pin even happened, though, Stevie Richards stepped in on his friend's behalf and delivered one of the hardest and nastiest chair shots fans had seen in years.
Oh my God, bro. I don't think I ever heard like a nasty chair shot besides Brock Lesnar's and this one at the same time. Brock Lesnar really didn't bleed and he took that shit. But like when JBL got cracked with that shit, oh my God. Man, I mean, this was kind of valid because JBL was doing a whole bunch of stupid shit around this time. Like, why are you even trying to take free reign into your own hands? Like, bro, back in the day, he was just used to just getting away with a lot of stuff in the 90s. And, you know, that shit kind of changed in like the 2000s a bit because there was still a lot of shit going on. But, like, you going on a non-show, somebody just calling you a bully? What the fuck? Are we kids? Well, are we kids, my nigga? What? Bro, I'm glad all of that shit is got stomped out. A little bit too late, but like, man.
Catching JBL clean across the head. Randy Orton and Christian had a heated feud over the World Heavyweight Championship on SmackDown in 2011.
I didn't know about
this. But 6 years before this rivalry, Orton and Christian were caught up in a program on Raw where Christian attacked Orton after a match on Raw and ended up bursting Randy's eardrum. A week later, the Viper got his revenge when he decked Christian with a stiff right hand during their match that left Christian with a massive lump on the side of his head. Though in Randy's defense, he'd already warned Captain Charisma before the match that a receipt was coming. But up next, let's talk about an infamous wrestling receipt involving two of the biggest legends in WWE history. Back in 1990.
Honestly, I didn't know about that Christian and Randy Orton receipt. That one was new to me. All these on this list I heard of, but like not that one. So that one's new to me.
1997, Shawn Michaels was serving as the guest referee in the main event of SummerSlam between Bret Hart and The Undertaker. In the closing moments of the match, HBK cracked Taker with a chair shot before reluctantly counting the pin for Bret Hart. The two would go on to build an entire program off that moment, but Michaels realized just how much force he'd actually put behind that swing. Later, when the two squared off inside Hell in a Cell at Bad Blood, Michaels made peace with what he'd done in the only way that felt right, and that was by willingly taking a receipt of his own. Taker delivered a chair shot to Michaels that rang his bell, and Michaels accepted it without complaint, treating it as a fair trade for the shot he'd dealt out.
Hey, and taking the chair shot like from the Undertaker at the time, especially being Shawn Michaels was in the mode back in 1999 of getting what he want, but like there's a person above you like the Undertaker, you're gonna have to take that shit. If it was like a person below Shawn Michaels, he wouldn't be worrying about that, but he had no choice to take this from Undertaker.
Earlier. It's one of the rare receipts in wrestling history that wasn't born out of anger in the moment, but out of mutual respect between two legends who understood
Nah, yeah, I agree with that. At least he knows. At least they know to respect each other. Cause like I said, Shawn Michaels was on a fucking bender back then. But honestly, yeah. So I heard of a lot of ones on this, but I guess a couple were a good refresher and a good some good talking points. And like I said, what was new to me was the Randy Orton and the Christian thing, because I never heard of that one. I have never heard nobody ever really talk about that one. Maybe he told that in an interview that probably like got people to go back and look at it. But man, yeah, my favorite one was probably like JBL getting that karma. Yeah, JBL getting that damn karma of somebody calling him a bully. What, like I said, what the fuck are we, kids, my nigga? You a grown ass man getting bothered by that. But like I said, I felt like they could just let anybody get away with anything. But don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. We are on the road to 900, and the link for the original video is in the description.
He was the best guy around.
What about the people he murdered?
What murder?